any difference that you have in your spouse, temperament, nature, inclination, tidiness, or risk-averse, risk-takers, whatever the differences are, I guarantee all of them pale in comparison to one difference. The single greatest difference between husbands and wife is one is male and the other is female. And male and females are opposite, completely, utterly, radically different in every way. Temperament, nature, inclination, interest, they're so different that you might as well say they're from different planets. But guess what? Hashem wants marriages to succeed. And provided you work on the tools that bond, you create the connection, you find a way to negotiate things. My way, your way, it really doesn't matter. We find a way, as long as you're best friends that love each other, as long as you work on the marriage, as long as you're connected, you find a way to negotiate life. And any couple that says, but we're so different, I say to them one thing: all of your differences are nothing compared to that single difference that he's a male and you're a female, and yet somehow marriages succeed if you actually work on it, and if you actually work on the relationship and learn to embrace the other person. Please talk about being husband and wife on the same page in front of children. If the mother asks something from child, the husband shouldn't say the opposite in front of the child. It makes more conflict and confuses the child and not listening to parents, right? By the way, I cannot agree more. You guys should be a unified front. And by the way, I guarantee anything that you do wrong in parenting a child, the division between husband and wife will do much more damage. What I mean by that is as follows. Let's assume that the husband is very strict and the wife is very lenient. Who should they listen to? Doesn't care. I don't care. One thing I do care. If you guys are together, a unified front, your children are being brought up in a happy home, a secure home, and everything is good. The minute mommy and daddy are fighting about any issue, the very nature of their world is becoming undone. And any damage that you think being too lenient or too strict or too whatever, too organized, is nothing compared to the damage that you're going to do in bringing up your children in a rocky home. Did I mention this before? I was here at Shir 1. Anyone else Shir 1? My wife and I, we had one of our kids, when our oldest daughter was in grade school, there was a certain issue with the school, and they asked us to see Dr. Rita Underberg. Dr. Rita Underberg had been the head of University of Rochester's psychology department. She had recently retired, and she was teaching parents how to deal with children. Anyway, we went to this woman, and I was astonished by her wisdom. She was a student of Chaim Ganat, and she was just brilliant. I took copious notes. It only took us 2 sessions to learn to deal with our daughter, but my wife and I went for years, literally for years. Every week we went. I begged this woman to write a book. In the end, I said to her, I'll write it with you. Unfortunately, she died before she wrote it, but I made a huge, huge discovery. I was an intelligent fellow. I was a Rebbe in high school, and I had 6 kids. And I realized that I knew very little about disciplining children. I knew very little about parenting children. Do you know how most parents discipline their children? Most parents discipline their children based on their temperament. That means if you by nature are very rigid, that's how you're going to bring up your kids. If you by nature are more easygoing, that's how you're going to bring up your kids. But I guarantee, and I can't tell you how many parents say to me, well, if I'm going to give in to my husband and be very strict, I'm going to damage my kids. If I'm going to give in to my wife and be very lenient, we're going to damage the kids. I guarantee too strict or too lenient won't damage the kids, but fighting in the home will. And you guys have to be a unified front. You have to be one entity together, and that's the only way it's going to work.
Is there a red line where there's like a certain point where one is just terribly toxic to the kids, where you have to say, I imagine, of course, abuse, you have to make World War III, right? You can't just say, well, he or she beats up the kids, so hey,
right. At that point, you must get in a third party.
Okay, I was saying, so there.
At that point, you must get in a third party.
Say, like yelling, screaming on a regular basis, and the kids are like.
If there's what we call real damage to the children, you have to get in a third party. That could be a role, it could be a therapist, it could be somebody else. Because the minute it's going to be you against a spouse, that's going to exacerbate the problem far worse, damage the children far worse, and it's going to make life pretty tough. So I recommend getting a therapist. Okay, I read in your book how women, oh, you read the book, good. I read in the book how women are talkers, and I also read sometimes that it's not good to talk to women too much, even your own wife. So how does that work? Don't worry about it. Talk, talk, talk. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. If one never if I said 5 by 7, so you gotta write big so I can read this. All right. If there are never mistakes in marriage, how do we explain intermarriage? Clearly there are mistakes, right? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, can you marry the wrong one? 100%. Absolutely. But it's bashared. It's bashared. How could it be? So let me explain to you what bashared means. We know that exactly what a person is supposed to go through in life is set, including how much money they're to make, who they're supposed to marry, which home they're supposed to own. Okay, let's imagine it's Yom Kippur. I'm sitting in shul and I'm davening, my talis over my head, I'm chuckling, and I hear a heavenly voice, Shaver, I was sent from heaven. Yeah, what? I was sent to tell you this year you'll make $10 million. Whoa, $10 million bucks, wow. I leave shul happy as a lark, quit my day job, don't even look in the papers. I know what's going to be. I'm making $10 million. What's going to happen that year? Likely, I'm going to go hungry. Because you see, when Hashem determines how much money I'm going to make, that's assuming a certain proviso, that I do my part. My part is to go about this world in the ways of the world. To earn a living, you have to get a job. To get married, you have to find the right one. If a guy's 25, 28, 30, and says, listen, Hashem, you want me to find the right one? Bring her to me. I'm very busy, I have stuff doing. Hashem, bring her to me. Likely that guy is going to remain single forever. But bashared 40 days before the child's born. Bashared doesn't mean it's going to happen. Bashared means it's accessible, it's available, it's what should be. But you got to do your part. To stay healthy, you eat right, you exercise, to earn a living, you get a job. And when it's time to find the right one, you go out there and you look for that person. But you have to do your part. So if you ask me, can you marry the wrong one? 100%. And I've seen it regularly. I know she's the right one, but I need someone smarter or richer or fancier or whatever, and you could blow it. You could pass by your basher. So if you ask me, can you marry somebody out of the faith? The answer is absolutely. There are no guarantees. Your job is to do your part. Your part is you take the paper test, you take the basher test, and then you say to yourself, I've done my part. I rely on Hashem to brought me to the right place. You're going to cry now? Now you're going to cry. Yeah.
I will. We're in the car. What about the rabbi test?
The rabbi test? I took one of those. It's called smicha. I studied it many years.
And you bring the potential person to the rabbis.
And if the rabbi is supposed to marry that potential person, it's a good test. But if you're supposed to marry the person, we got to bring it to the you.
No, but don't you tell bring the potential other?
Yeah, it's a nice idea to bring to the rabbi, but the question, see, one second. The rabbi is going to ask him one question. How do you feel? What's going on in you? Is it right for you? The rabbi's not...
Okay, can I ask another one on top of it? What about premarital counseling? Would you recommend that? Premarital counseling?
First of all, get a book. It's a lot cheaper, a lot easier. You buy the book, you read it, you know, right? That's easy. Okay, how do I know what not to do based upon the past?
Yes.
What does it mean? What?
How do you know, basically, in other words, how do you know what not to do based on the past events that could preclude?
Okay, so one thing for sure, how did it turn out for you? If it turned out bad, don't do it again. If it turned out good, do it again. So if you bought flowers and gifts and she was all smiling, great, do it again. If you didn't and she got all huffy and puffy, so stop doing it, do it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, what works you do again. I don't know, did I get that one wrong? Okay, maybe I got it wrong. Okay, let's take one or two more questions and then I'm running out of steam. Okay, Baruch Hashem, I would like to get happily married. Wow. People are telling me to settle for anyone, everyone is the same. Okay, now, let me explain to you what you should be looking for. It's one thing, and one thing, oh, by the way, I've asked this question to countless number of people, what are you looking for? There was only one person who answered right. My oldest daughter, when she was about to go out, I asked her, what are you looking for? She said, I'm looking for my basher. I said, get out! Who taught you that? Who said that? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm looking for my Bashert, the right one. Well, how do you know? How do you know? You take the paper test, you take the Bashert test. But I'm not looking for my model wife. I'm not looking for my ideal husband. Most people, when they go out, by the way, I say they make their Mr. Potato Head. You know the little children's toy, Mr. Potato Head? You know, you pick the eyes and the feet and the ears. And most people say, well, listen, I'm introverted, so I need an extrovert. I have this kind of sense of humor, I need that kind of sense. I need someone this intelligent. They create their Mr. Potato Head, then they go into the marketplace to find the one that's closest to their Mr. Potato Head. And I can't find my Bashert. I don't know why. You know why? You're not looking for the one that was predetermined for you. You're looking for your Mr. Potato Head that you made in your mind. Stop looking for him. Look for the one that Hashem designed for you, and you might actually find him. Yes, my finger, yeah, did I do something wrong? My finger left, that's it. Okay, good. Okay, all right, one last question. One last question and we're done. We're done. Art of apology, you mentioned 3 parts. Apologize to hurt, don't want to apologize with your butt. And part number 3, you got to read it in the book. Actually 4 parts to the art of apology. 4 parts to that, but you got to read it in the book. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. TheShmooze.com.